Alright, fellow Arrow fans, time for the final episode of Review of the Day, which is Corto Maltese. In a flashback to 6 months before, Thea joins her father in a limo. She asks him where they were going, and he tells her that it was up to her. He wants someone to know she was alive. She tells him she doesn't want to know pain anymore, so he could teach her. In the present, Oliver has the arrows chasing after a guy and then captures him with his arrow. The person tells him that it was a lady who must have killed Sarah. However, Oliver tells him that it was a dead end, and then declares that he needs to bring Thea home. Oliver learns that Felicity found Thea in Corto Maltese, not Italy. Roy decides to come with Oliver. Dick is watching baby Sarah when Lila walks in. He feels ill, and Oliver going to Corto, and Lila asks him to join Oliver to check on an agent that was there. Dick agrees to go. In the Wildcat gym, Laura approaches Ted Grant and asks him about one of his students. Ted said that the person she was looking for had been with him the night before. However, he was lying due to protecting the kid. He then hands her a fight class pamphlet. Oliver, Roy, and Dick arrive in Corto Maltese. Oliver heads off alone to see his sister. He knocks on the door and says, "Thea." Inside the house, Uncle Merlin held a bow and arrow at the door. Uncle remembers when he got her during meditative tea the first time many months ago. It then pours hot water in his hand, freaking Thea out. She begs him not to do it to her, but he grabs her hand, claiming she asked him to teach her. Oliver is told by Gardner where to find Thea. He shows up at Thea's work, and she smiles when she sees him. Later, they sit together, and he compliments her haircut. She apologizes for lying about Italy. He tells her that he understood why she left after Mom, but he missed her and would like it if she came home with him. She told him that she loved him but was never coming back. Months ago, Thea is feeling weak for not being able to take the hot water. Felicity arrives at work and learns that she wasn't Ray's assistant, but that she had one. She was then given the server to the Applied Sciences Division. She learns that they had been in her office the entire time when he leaves. Oliver joins Dick on his mission. He then meets the man and learns that Shaw is very jumpy. He follows him away and how he had eyes on him. He said that someone had acquired Argus files that included information about spouses and children of agents. Laurel heads to a meeting and is speaking. When she spots her father, she stops talking. One of the other members bring up how her boyfriend has been hurting her when he drinks. Laurel talks to her father about it. In Corto Maltese, Oliver's watching Dick and Shaw show up where they were supposed to go. Dick figured out that his weapon was compromised. Shaw then shoots at Oliver after knocking out Dick. Oliver then goes after Dick and watches the car drive off. Thea's taking on the trash when she knocks it down. Roy approaches and helps her pick it up. He tries to talk her into returning to Starling. She tells him that she likes not being known as Thea Queen or Thea Merlin. He tells her that he is glad she was happy, and then leaves, and that is when Malcolm walks up. In the flashback, Thea learns that her father's going to train her like he was. He hits her and then grabs a sword. Dick calls Lila and fills her in. However, Argus agents can't get there in time. Felicity is at work when Ray and Dick call Laurel for both Dick and Laurel both call for favors. Dick wants information about the buy, whereas Laurel wants to go after the boyfriend of the AA girl. Oliver decides to tell Thea everything as he doesn't have a choice. That night, Laurel goes after the boyfriend but is in way of her head as she gets knocked out pretty easily. She then goes to the hospital where her father finds her. Quentin asks her what she was thinking, but she refuses to tell him about Sarah. He says that she isn't her sister or the Arrow. He makes her promise not to do anything like this again. Oliver meets up with Thea and tells her that she was right. He tells her that he's afraid of losing her forever if she knew the truth from the 5 years. She promised to always see him as her brother, but she was upset about him lying to her about who her father was. He tells her the robber had made it off the gambit and killed himself. He tells her that Robert and Moira sacrificed themselves so they could live. He says he needs her and asks her to consider what he was saying. He then gets up and leaves. Dick, Oliver, and Roy are waiting when Shaw and Spire show up for the information. The man shows them the transporter, which is when they weapon up. Roy learns that Oliver had made the weapons from their hotel room. An army shows up and it's not Argus, but the army that Shaw hired. Oliver, Dick, and Roy are going after the army. Roy is surprised when Oliver asks Dick for his gun and shoots it, killing multiple men. "I never said I didn't know how to use a gun," Oliver says. Oliver shoots one of the tires as Dick fights Shaw as he does Roy. And the grabs the computer Shaw wants to be dead instead of dealing with Waller. Thea talks to Malcolm about returning to Starling. She says to prove to him that she was different. They grab swords and begin to fight, destroying Art. She then wins, and he tells her that it looks like she was going home. "I'll be seeing you soon," he says after she asks if he let her win. At the airport, Oliver, Roy, and Dick wait for Thea. Oliver's responding until Roy notices Thea show up. She sits down next to him. A man nearby accidentally knocks hot coffee onto Thea's hand. Instead of reacting, she just wipes it off her hand. Oliver turns to Vernon to find Laurel there. He wonders why she was beat up and fills him in on what happened. He tells her that Sarah had training and she asks him for help training. He tells her no one is surprised. He repeats no over and over. He then tells her to consider how her father would react. He tells her that Sarah would never forgive him if he trained her. Dick returns home and tells Lila he loves her. Sarah's asleep and Dick looks at her. Lila then says she has to go in for work. Quentin shows up and spots the guy who Laurel fought but doesn't know anything about Laurel. Laurel meets Ted again. Felicity manages to fix the data. She asks for vacation to go see Barry. He lets her go. Ray looks into top secret weapons that Quick Consolidated were working on. Roy and Oliver talk about Thea being different. That's when Nissa shows up asking about Sarah. Dun dun dun. So now let's take a look at a piece of trivia surrounding this episode. At Palmer Technologies, Felicity can be seen reading Iris West's blog, The Streak Lives. So overall, I think this is a very interesting episode, and yeah, I kind of understand why Oliver doesn't want to train Laurel, considering everything happened to Sarah and so on and so forth, but yeah. And it's also nice that Thea finally is going back home with her brother and stuff, so yeah. So overall, I give Corto Maltese 4 arrowheads out of 5. When we tune in tomorrow as we take a look at the next episode, The Magician. So until then, in the words of Oliver Queen, you have failed this city.